Tuesday, May 23rd. Barry Funkhauser here with my friend in the podcast business, Joe.
That's me.
Joe, we're keeping it local today, and I'm feeling a bit blue, but for all good reason. It's an overcast day, and I feel like talking to a boy named Sue.
Because you got the blues, huh? That's the only way to get rid of it.
The only boy that can solve the blues for me tonight is a boy named Sue.
Well, my dad left home when I was 3, but he didn't leave much to my mom and me. Just old guitar and empty bottle of booze.
Michael J is with us from the Mighty Cash Cats.
Hey, welcome, Michael.
Man. How's the weather where you're at? You're in Johnny's first West Coast home, I'm assuming Ventura, right?
Yes, I am, and it's an early June gloom.
Yes. So when did you? Let's see. How are we going to talk to Michael J here? Are we going to talk to him like he's Johnny or Michael? I'm going to ask you first. How did you get into this Johnny Cash tribute band, and what was the inspiration behind it?
Well, I had a band previously for a number of years called the Rhythm Rangers, and I was doing some Cash material in it, and then I stopped playing for a few years. My mother was ill, and I brought her out here to live with me, and when she passed, I decided I wanted to get back into music again, and I decided I wanted to do a Johnny Cash tribute. I was always a fan of his, and that I started in 2006, and there was no manual for it. I just I looked on the internet, and there was just nothing there, so I just got a bunch of material and learned it and assembled a band, and got successful pretty quickly. There was nobody doing it. There was one other guy in the country that was doing it, and I hooked up with an agent, Mark Levy, and he sent us on the road within about 4 months of putting the band together. But I studied his material for about 6 months and learned it all the original keys. I realized when I was doing it with my other band, some of the songs, I wasn't doing it right. Johnny Cash's music is very unique. Yeah. To say the least, it's unique because he sometimes he sings way behind the beat. He clips notes off of measures, adds beats to measures. He does it by feel. So, like a song like Ring of Fire took quite a while to learn it in the originally the way he did it, which with all the I don't want to get too technical, but he sang it behind the beat. It would be like, love is a burning thing. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
6,
Yeah.
7,
Yeah.
And it makes a 5 a ring. And bound by a wild desire. Then he rushes ahead. I fell into a ring of fire. And so, most bands that do it, cover bands, that just do it straight up. Love burning thing, and it makes a fire ring. And that's the way I used to do it. So it just songs like that and he did like Walk the Line with all the key changes, and he goes forth. And I don't want to get too technical here, but he changes the key all the time on it. So I just sat down for about 6 months and wrote everything out and tried to learn it in the original keys. And I think the original recordings, the tuning, they must have tuned off a piano at Sun Studio, because all the guitar parts are E position, but the songs are sort of almost an F. So it was.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's no E sharp or F flat. So it's like the songs were they sound like they're an F, but all the guitar licks are an E position. So yeah, I probably probably had something to do with they probably tuned to a piano there, and it probably was
Slightly off.
slightly sharp. Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
oh, go ahead.
I'm Bear. Just so first before Joe, you got a real question, but I'm so entertained by the fact that you came up almost in the same way that Johnny Cash came up, where only a couple of guys were doing it. It's kind of hard to do, different. Took you a little bit to learn, and then once you figured it out, there you are on the road touring it almost immediately. It's kind of funny how it echoes Johnny himself.
He came up hard. He actually picked cotton in Arkansas. He came up out of poverty. And one thing I really liked about Cash, he, unlike some of his contemporaries, like when he left Sun Records and signed with Columbia, which is the same trajectory that Elvis had, he kept his band. Elvis, they made Elvis dump his band, his original band, and Scotty Moore, DJ Black. And Elvis kept his same band for his whole career. Luther Perkins, W.S. Holland on drums, and Marshall Grant on bass. Luther Perkins was a guitar player who's very unusual style. He had that chicka boom, chicka boom. Mm-hmm. And so he kept his sound, and he did music that a lot of contemporary artists and artists of his time wouldn't do. Like that song Ira Hayes about the Marine that the Native American Marine that raised the flag in Iwo Jima and then came back to Arizona and alcoholic and died in his own vomit. That was very controversial, and Man in Black. And, but he kept true to his roots his whole time. Never became a nostalgia artist. He Hurt was his final song that he recorded in 2003, and he passed away 4 months later. That was a song written by Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails. And so he stayed true to his beliefs and, never sold out.
Yeah, he always did it. He always did it his way. Now, one of the things that you said and that struck me. Now, he was a very technical artist, and you had to spend some time getting that technicality down. Because what's shocking to me is that when you started, you said there was only one other guy out there in the entire United States doing a Johnny Cash tribute
on the West Coast.
On the West Coast, do you think it was because his music's so technical and people couldn't get it right?
There just weren't a lot of tribute bands at that time either, and I don't know why. There just weren't. Now there's been an explosion of tribute bands, and but I'm the last man standing in Southern California. Well, there were at least 8, and then my main competitor, they moved to Vegas. The other one broke up, and all the other ones just broke up. It's not an easy. Being in this business is not an easy thing.
Yeah, but now you can corner the market.
Yeah.
I guess I have, as far as Southern California goes.
It's like, here in Southern California, I figured, and tell me if I'm wrong, Michael, but like when you're out performing, a lot of the people that are there are just interested in having a great time, singing along to songs. Hopefully you're getting paid for the event handsomely. and everybody's happy at the end of it. Is that how it goes? Do you find a lot of people are just enjoying it all together and just like, oh my God, this is
I
so
think I believe they are, and a lot of times they'll come up, they'll tell me I narrate the show, especially theater shows.
well, you got to do it. I'm sure you embody Mr. Cash, the man in black, when you're doing
I
it.
I tell stories about how a lot of the songs came about, and a lot of people come up. I didn't know that, or I didn't even know he did the song. Like for example, like Cocaine Blues, and we'll have some audio visual things. There's that famous picture of Johnny Cash flipping the bird. And I tell the story behind that song, and then have flash the visual of Johnny Cash doing that. How when he was at Folsom Prison doing that famous Folsom Prison concert, the warden wanted to look at his set list, and on that set list was a song called "Cocaine Blues," and he sent a note up with the guard. Read, "Mr. Cash, I do not want you to sing Cocaine Blues." And that was Johnny's answer to the warden. Man, a few words. It's that one, one finger salute. They did Cocaine Blues. Yeah. So I tell that stories like that, and so on about different songs like "Boy Named Sue," where the way you introduced the podcast.
Yeah.
Cash was at San Quentin. It was recorded live at San Quentin, and he met Shel Silverstein 2 days before the party in L.A. And Shel handed him that song, "Boy Named Sue." He said, "I got a hit for you, Johnny." And at that concert at San Quentin, he put the music, the words, a lyric sheet on a music stand, and he just started playing. Didn't tell the band what he was going to do. And if you look at the video, Carl Perkins, who was playing with him at the time, looked over and started laughing. He goes, "What the heck is Johnny doing?" The bass player starts looking over, going, "What?" And the drummer just starts banging out a beat. And if you listen to the song, they all come in at like a different time. Of course, nowadays they would be they'd put it in the studio and auto tune it up and make sure everybody started at the right time. But that became probably his second biggest hit. Biggest hit of '70, but his second "Walk the Line" was his biggest seller, and "Boy Named Sue" #2. And he got away with it. And I tell that story, and then I just start playing the guitar and start singing it. And then the band kind of comes in the way they do in a record.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's amazing. I like how you're starting in the original. It's just very raw, and it feels punk rock, Michael. I can't you can't say that it doesn't. It's very punk rock. Do you get a lot of younger people? Like, what's your age? Who shows up to the Mighty Cash Cats show? Like, who do you see out there?
It's a varied age crowd. Of course, a lot of baby boomers who grew up with the music still love it. And then you'll see some younger people, and they'll come with that T-shirt that has Cash flipping the bird.
Yep, I know the one.
And then you have, I've gone overseas. I've played overseas, and I did a show in Makati, which is Manila, which is the Beverly Hills of Manila, a couple of years ago. And there was a gal there, and I asked her, "How do you know Cash?" Because there were over there were a lot of expats. So they went to the show, a lot of expats, a lot of American expats, European, and so on. And she said, "The movie." She loved the movie. They play that Walk the Line movie all over the world.
Yeah.
That brought in a new group of fans for Johnny's music. But I've I've played all over the world. We've toured Europe 6 times, Ireland especially. Did in 2019 did 20 shows in Ireland.
Did you eat at the KFC in Ireland there? Did you did you ever eat at a KFC there?
Why?
Ireland does not have, they don't have a lot of American.
They've got a KFC though, because I've been to Ireland.
Yeah.
And when you walk into KFC, the menu is not what you would expect.
You go to Burger King there, they serve beer.
That's nice.
They call it a Royale, isn't that what?
Yeah, Royale with cheese.
That's in France, the Royale. We played in France a couple of times.
Boy, that's cool. And Johnny Cash is universal. You don't even have to speak the language, That's the coolest part.
I think so. I think he's beloved, around the world. We even did several years ago, we did a festival in Israel, and he had quite a fan base there. He's been there. I guess it turned out he did an album there, and he used to go there quite a bit, and stayed at a place near Tiberias. I guess he had some friends there, and so yeah, there's Cash fans all over the world. I did a show in Ho Chi Minh City, which is Saigon, the old Saigon. There was mostly a lot of expats there, European expats. It was at a place called Mooney's Irish Pub. So it's owned by an Irish guy I knew from Ireland. So yeah, his music is universal, beloved around the world.
That's cool. Okay, so now let's talk about June for a moment here, because you have a June in the band. Where'd you find her, and what's her story?
Well, in 2008, I decided to add a June to the band, and I ran an ad in the trades and set up some auditions down in LA. And I auditioned quite a few young ladies, and there were some really good ones. But Letitia came in, and after the first verse of she sang at Jackson, that was it. I hired her right there, and she's been with me ever since. And about a year, she came in as a June, and then I had a bass player in the band that didn't seem to be, working out. I don't think he was happy with the group. So a couple months after she was with the group, I asked her if she wanted to learn to play bass, and she said, "Sure. What's a bass?" I mean, she knew what it was, but she wasn't sure what the fingering was, how to, the approach to it. She's musical, she could play piano and so on, but I wasn't sure what the approach was. So over the course of a year, I showed her wrote the show we were doing. I was a bass player before I put the Cash Cats together in my previous band. And so about 10 months later, we were going back on tour, and I said, "Okay, you're on." And she's been my June Carter and bass player ever since.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it took her about a year to get up to speed?
Actually, less than that. But
oh, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, she was a quick learner, very, very musical, and it's very difficult to play bass and sing. But and she's a really good bass player, because sometimes the music of Cash is very structured, and the bass has to be in a certain place. The 1/5, they call it 1/5 bass, and sometimes bass players maybe get bored playing it and maybe get overactive, and she plays it the way it's supposed to be played, along with the drummer, because that's the foundation of the music. And same with the guitar, has to be disciplined. I've heard it compared to a James Brown kind of guitar where they just keep playing that rhythm, with ninth chord, and the same with the guitar with the Perkins. It has to be there, or there's no cash. And so my guitarist is very disciplined also. So we don't want to change the music.
Yeah. Okay. You have like a star-studded band here. Okay. Now I'm gonna ask you a controversial question.
Yes.
How about original songs? Have you been working on anything? Can you put in something
We
in
have
this cache?
we have a whole album. Of
Oh,
original.
great. Thank goodness. All right, good.
Yeah.
That's what I fear, is because you don't want to get locked in. If people want more, then you got the original songs. That's great.
And in fact, the album's called "The Ballad of Johnny and June." It's a song I wrote where Letitia and I sang it. About a story about Johnny Cash and June Carter and Sun Records. And so, yeah, the whole album is original. One song is called Alaska Boogie. It's about a barroom brawl in Alaska when I was up there. It broke out. So a lot of it's
Sounds
about
cold.
stories about the road.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, we do. But getting back to Letitia, yeah, she's the June Carter in the band. And about 4 years ago, because, she had been with me at the time, almost 12 years, I put together a Linda Ronstadt tribute with her, where she does Linda.
Yeah, okay, I'm in. Sounds good to me. So are you backup vocals? Or are you playing like she's the lead, she's the Linda, and then you get to play Linda
And I
Ronstadt
play
songs?
guitar, and the other guitar player plays the keyboard. So it gives us all a little chance to.
Well, you guys are
stretch out.
very versatile. Sheesh.
And it does a really fact. She'll be doing a couple, because it's our 15th anniversary concert. She'll be doing
Well, that's
a
fun.
really Ronstadt medley of songs. In fact, one of them she'll be doing. We're going to dedicate. We had a roadie for a number of years. His name was Fred Bukowski, and you couldn't miss him. He's 6'7", about 250 pounds of solid muscle, long hair biker guy. But a retired Navy. He was stationed at Point Hueneme for a long time, and Desert Storm veteran. And last year, we're playing at the Sagebrush Cantina in Calabasas, and he came down late, said he wasn't feeling well. And I told him, Fred, you go home, rest up. And he said to me, Michael J., we asked Letitia to sing Blue Bayou one last time for me. And it resonated with me what one last time meant. And that was a Sunday afternoon, and Tuesday he was gone. He loved that song. It reminded him, he was stationed for a while at Subic Bay in the Philippines, where the naval base was, the big naval base, Pacific Fleet. And he had a home there and a wife there. And he told me he was going back there. That's what I thought he meant. But anyway, he passed away. So we're going to dedicate. We're going to put his picture on the screen and dedicate Blue Bayou to him. And Letitia will sing that, the
Nice.
version.
Oh,
That's really, really cool.
yeah, that's amazing. I was going to ask you, like, if anybody came up to you and told you an amazing story around it, but I think you answered the question there.
Yeah. But that was very sad what happened to Fred. I mean, just all of a sudden, a huge guy, very strong, and things happen. But we're looking forward to this event on June 3rd. We have an opener Dr. T in the Blues Criminals band. Dr. T is bills himself Pride of the Shoemass Nation, Native American guitar player. He's a terrific band.
Yeah. You know, this thing coming up June 3rd, I'm glad you brought it up because the Ocean View Pavilion is something I haven't been to in Port Hueneme. It sounds like a cool concert venue, man. And
yeah, it's a theater, and it's got state-of-the-art lighting and sound. Very nice venue.
Oh, I love that. And you're playing with Dr. T and the Blues Criminals and Zen Zeppelin. Interesting. Yes. That's great.
Well, you know, you might say Led Zeppelin and Johnny Cash. It's got the same audience, same kind of people who would like Led Zeppelin would like Johnny Cash, and vice versa.
Yeah, you wonder what they'd talk about backstage.
And then the opener, Dr. T, is a Native American blues guitar player. I guess last year he won the Native American Blues Guitar Award.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and he's terrific. And I personally chose him. Johnny Cash was heavily involved in Native American advocacy. He did an album in 1966 called Bitter Tears, which was about Native Americans. And the controversial song, which I said earlier, was Ira Hayes, about the Indian Native American Ira Hayes, who raised the flag in Iwo Jima. And when he came back to the States, they kicked him out of a bar in Chicago. They wouldn't serve Native Americans. And his life became tragic later on, a true American hero. And so the whole song is about him and about the Pima Indians, who's part of the Pima Indians outside of Phoenix. And so the song was
you think you're going to bring on Dr. T to play that song with you at the show?
No. The song, you talk about cancel culture. About 10 years ago or more, we had that song in the repertoire, and never had a problem with it. But several years back, this was even before cancel culture was going, the chorus is, I guess it was controversial. It goes, drunken Ira Hayes, he won't answer anymore, not the whiskey drinking Indian or the Marine that went to war. Well, I never had a problem with it, but we're doing at a festival. All of a sudden, I guess I get a call a day later from the festival organizer. I said, what was that song you did? Kind of with racist implications about the drunken Indian. I go, what? Because if you listen to the words of the song, it's the rest of the verses about how, Indians were being mistreated and so on and so forth. So
yeah, people don't look at context anymore. They just find a trigger word. Yeah.
Yeah, I just said, well, and because Dr. T wanted to do that, and I said, somebody's gonna hear that song and just hear that chorus.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to get canceled. So
yeah, right.
I think that was before the cancel culture. I just had a phone. Somebody called the festival organizer and just complained about it. And so I decided, well, especially now.
Well, Michael, let me ask you a sidebar question here, if you don't mind. Joe, if you'd let me here. So, yeah. Speaking of cancel culture, what's your opinion on the matter if, let's say, you're walking through a park and you happen to see some kids messing with the squirrel and you yell at the kids?
You're killing me. You're killing me, Barry. All right. Yeah. Okay. So the other day I was running through the park on my
I just want to know his opinion before you tell him that it was you that did it.
Go ahead.
What do you
Screamed
think?
at kids.
Should you get canceled if you yell at kids for messing with squirrels at a park?
Yeah, I guess it depends upon the intent, how it happens. If you do it with genuine caring for the squirrels, and you're explaining to the children that's not a good thing or to do. But if you're just screaming at them and you're intimidating them, then I don't believe it should be canceled. But I don't think that's the correct approach.
Yeah, no, it's not. I agree. I screwed up. Thanks, Barry.
Well,
Sorry.
I don't think
I
it's
just
true
wanted a
ever.
second
I'm
opinion,
an animal
Joe.
lover. I'm an animal lover, and I think that
I mean, I think Joe did the right thing, honestly. I mean, he may have ruffled some feathers, but there's a place in the middle. Yes, there's a place in the middle.
I don't think he should be canceled for that. His heart was in the right place.
Yeah. But if a song from 50 years ago can,
that's
man.
just that's the dumbest thing. All right, a much more fun question. Let's get into a fun thing. Now, you guys tour a lot. You've been around. Sounds like you've been and played all over the world. What is your favorite venue to play at?
Oh, that's that last one I played at.
It's always the last place you played. That's
the right answer. That's always the right answer.
And my favorite ones would be June 3 at the Ocean View Pavilion. No, I tell you why, because we don't work in Ventura very much, Ventura County.
It's your homeland.
It is, and the last time we actually played in Ventura was at the Ventura Music Hall a year ago. I think it was July 1 of 2022, and we haven't been back since.
Oh,
so we're looking forward to being back home.
You get to play a show and then go sleep in your own bed.
Yeah,
like the nicest thing ever.
Actually, yeah. Well, we haven't done as much touring as we did in previous years since the COVID. And I found that from Paso Robles to Palm Springs out to Arizona, we've been able to work pretty steadily.
Oh,
yeah, and people are itching to go outside too. I mean, everybody's out at this point, and they hear, the Mighty Cash Cats. I'm there.
And so we work a lot in Orange County, especially in an Empire and down in the desert. We do a lot of the casinos. We'll be at the Yamava Casino, which used to be San Manuel.
Yep.
Coming up.
Nice.
We were at Fantasy Springs a couple weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
And then next month we're out in Arizona, and we're going to be at the Gila River Casino in Chandler. It's a suburb of
Phoenix.
And then
for me, it's like something about the desert and Johnny Cash just kind of like
could be. Then we'll be up
together.
in Prescott the next day. We're going to be doing 2 shows at the.
I love Prescott.
Yeah,
man, that's like Old West.
Prescott. You're supposed to say it like.
I'm sorry.
You know how you say. Some people say Ventura, and it. I hate when they say Ventura because it's Ventura. You know what I'm saying? And then
I was told last year
at Prescott. Yeah, Prescott is Prescott. Yeah,
Prescott. Okay, yeah, that was the
just like there's a town on the
West.
East Coast that's an F word. I can't remember what it's called, but it sounds like an F word when you pronounce it correctly.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Yeah, I
we
can't
won't
remember.
say that because we're on the radio. I don't
Port
want
blank.
So we'll be doing 2 shows in Prescott at the Elks Theater. They added a matinee this year because last year
cool.
we sold out. And then we're going down to Tucson. We're doing 2 different shows. One at the Gaslight Theater in downtown Tucson, and then at the Gaslight Music Hall in Oro, which is a suburb of Tucson.
So how do people get tickets for any of these shows, especially the one coming up June 3rd at the Ocean View Pavilion in Port Hueneme?
Well, you can go to my website and I'll have the link to it.
MightyCashCats.com. There it is right there.
MightyCashCats.com. I should have a link. And on my Facebook page is a link. There's a ticket link that through Eventsci. And it's too long for me to pronounce.
Totally fine. MightyCashCats.com, guys. MightyCashCats.com, just like it sounds.
By the way, on January 28th, we were inducted into the California Music Hall of Fame.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I saw that, dude. That's crazy.
By Captain Kirk himself, William Shatner.
Now, how did that happen? Tell us that story.
Well, I was kind of shocked. I got an email, and then I thought, okay, what's the catch? We sent, where's the catch? What money? I thought it was a phony thing. Then it turned out to be real. They had Can Heed and Jan and Dean and Leanne Rimes, Dwight Yoakam, among others that were being inducted. And we were the only, I think the only band that didn't have a zillion records sold. And so I thought at first I thought maybe they had us confused with the Stray Cats or something. So I didn't want to talk. I did everything through email or text. So after the show, I talked to the producer, the organizer, CJ Rosamond. And I said, you didn't have us confused with Stray Cat? Oh, no, you were nominated and voted on. And the California Music Hall of Fame, they want diversity in the music. The superstars, of course. And then I guess the blue collar guys like me, like us, that, go out and make a living doing it. And so they wanted to show the diversity of California music. And so we were one of the 3 bands that actually played there. And William Shatner was very gracious. He came backstage after the show to see us. And first thing he did was call my drummer over. He's the newest member of the band. He just graduated Westmont College. He said, "Young man, I want to speak to you." And he said he really liked his style because Tim McDonald's our drummer, and he always smiles and twirls sticks. And then he complimented the rest of the band, the guitar player, and he shook my hand and said, "You do Johnny proud." And it was a thrill to be, for him to say that. And so, we were inducted on January 28th. And
wow, that's really cool, man. I mean, like, to be like in 2000 and you said 7 or 8, I think you were learning Johnny Cash songs.
Right.
And now you're in the Hall of Fame. It's amazing. Okay, I have one more question before we play. You got to pick a song. You got to pick a song there, but I have one more question, and you may not have been asked this question ever, but there is no right or wrong answer, but the only prerequisite is you have to answer the question. Are you ready, Michael J., for this question from the Mighty Cash Cats?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Would you rather get into a battle to the death with one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? A battle to the death.
One horse-sized duck.
Why is that? So you can write a song about it later?
Yeah.
I got into a battle to a death.
I ducked a duck.
Okay.
I ducked a duck.
Oh, man, that's so cool.
You asked me earlier what was my favorite venue to play at. And I thought about it. It was in France.
Oh,
okay.
It was at a place called WOS, W-O-S. And unfortunately, we played there several times, and unfortunately, COVID wiped it out. The guy went under.
Well, that's too bad.
And when the French like you, they love you. if they don't, they're just indifferent. And for some reason, they seem to like us there. And they when we were there in 2018, they after the show they closed the bar. It was like a concert club, and they held a party for us. And they had a DJ and the spread with all kinds of meats and all these pastries and
French baguettes.
French baguettes. You know, the owner of that place, his name's Pierre, really nice guy, speaks really good English.
Of course, his name's Pierre. Okay.
But he doesn't act like a Pierre, whatever the Pierre's supposed to act like. He says Soaring on the West Bank. So they get all the students going there. And he had a really nice spread for us. And he's very tall and very slender, but man, he'd be eating baguettes, he'd be eating, these cream puffs. And so he had a bread out. He was a really nice guy, but as a Frenchman, he could be a little arrogant. Sorry about that if anybody's listening. No stereotyping. But
I don't think we have a big French audience yet. It's okay.
There was some meat that he laid out. And I said, this is the best pepperoni I ever had. And he goes, that's not pepperoni. I go, okay.
It's bruschetta. Or whatever.
I don't know what the hell it was, but some kind of. But anyway, then I said, how do you eat like this and stay thin? He goes, if you eat good food, you don't get fat. And they do. They're from France. They were, so after the show, they took us to underground club about 6 a.m. over there. A famous underground club that a lot of celebs go to. And they just treated us so great, and just love that place. I guess I got to tell you a story.
Yeah, of course.
Can I use a sort of off-color word?
I'm sure you can. If it's too dark, we'll double it.
Well, I don't drink very, very rarely, but they were serving us in the last part of the show Boilermakers, Guinness with shots of Jim Beam in it. I think in France it might be wine. So the last song of the night, we were doing a cash thing, but the Tisha, she sings some country music. We're going to do, I asked Tisha sing Gunpowder and Lead. That's the Miranda Lambert song with the chorus. I'm going down, going to load my shotgun, wait by the door, light a cigarette. About this young girl that gets beat up by her boyfriend, and then she blows him away. And I was going to paraphrase Johnny Cash because he said something similar at a concert. And I said, and Tisha was ready to hit me. But anyway, so this is the final song of the evening. I said, Tisha sing Gunpowder and Lead. So after the song, it was kind of a silence and some applause. I said, before the song, I said, I used to be a teacher in America. I used to teach high school. And I said, I'm going to tell you something about the American Bill of Rights. The First Amendment does not give a man the right to hit a woman, but the Second Amendment gives her a right to shoot his ass if he does. And it was like, whoa, Cash said that, something like that in one of his concerts. After the show, about 15 girls came up to me. They were from the Sorbonne. They were students. Some were American, a lot were French and other nationalities. And I said, uh-oh, what did I do? Here it comes, ugly American. One French girl came up to me and said, that song. And I said, here it comes. She goes, justice.
Nice.
She said justice.
She said justice. But
wow.
Anyway, I guess a little controversial, but it actually went over.
You never know what you expect in another country. You know what I mean? You never know.
Yeah, we were just straight, and then they closed the bar up and had a party for us and took us down this underground bar where a lot of celebs, go to, and it was just I guess that's got to be my favorite place in the world to play at. And we played there a couple of times, but it's closed. We're supposed to go back there. We're going to go back on tour in 2020, and we're booked there. But of course, the COVID happened, and that kind of shut that down.
Yeah, that's a super bummer because that would have been my favorite spot to also after that kind of story.
Yeah.
Not there anymore. We got lost after it was about 6 a.m, and we were going to head back to our hotel. I was walking around the streets of Paris, but luckily the bartender there, his name was Duncan. He's actually from New Zealand. Walked us back to the apartment we were staying at. But so I guess that would be my favorite spot in the world, Paris.
Aside from the last spot you performed.
Exactly. Or the next spot.
The last spot was in Lompoc.
Well, the next spot we're concerned with, which is a week from Saturday, the Ocean View Pavilion in Port Hueneme. You can get tickets at mightycashcats.com. Michael J., thanks for coming on. The man in black, the boy named Sue himself, he's here. And you got to pick a song for us to leave with. What's the Mighty Cash Cats song of choice?
Are you going to play it, or you want me to sing it?
I want to play it here. Can you sing it? It's more. What do you think, Joe? You sing if you sing it, if it's no problem.
I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, down, down. The flames went higher, and it burned, burned, burns. A ring of fire, a ring of fire. I guess you could leave with that one.
Down
still the king of rock and roll.
I'm sure like that Roy Orbison, oh pretty woman.
Roy's the other man in black.
And Jerry Lee Lewis, the killer keyboard man.
Sam Phillips started all on Sun Records in Memphis, Tennessee.